In our last session, we have discussed about auto scaling group, right? So, any questions on auto scaling group? You guys got any chance to practice? Is that went well or any difficulties? So you went phase by phase, right? Like, first test one method, so then go and add golden AMI, load balancer, all these things. Is that went well? Okay. So any questions before starting today's session? Are we good so far, guys? You guys are practicing, right? Okay. So please practice. But basically, it's AWS, right? It's a lot of small topics. Okay. So, S3 is a module, but within S3, we have a lot of options. IAM have a lot of options. EC2 have a lot of options. Okay. So the thing is, we are going to combine everything. See, if you observe this auto scaling group, okay, we have added load balancer, we have added golden AMI. But we have taken multiple sessions to discuss what exactly that load balancer is, what exactly that golden AMI concept is. Right. So we discuss that small options first, then we are combining and we are doing it. So once, if course progresses further, okay, so we are going to add IAM, S3, EC2. We are going to build everything on top of a VPC. So then for these web servers, we are going to add a database servers also. So the mechanism here is learn all individual modules first, combine everything and deliver an application end to end. Okay, so that is a purpose. So as part of that, we are discussing a lot of small options. If you don't practice, later you feel difficult whenever you're doing that, end-to-end tasks. Some tasks involved with all the services, right? If you don't practice now, you definitely face difficulty there. So please spare some time and please practice on same day. Right. So here in today's session, we are going to discuss about a service called EFS. But before that, we have a small option. Yesterday, we discussed about alarms, right? Okay, let's discuss a couple of more points regarding that alarm. Then we'll discuss about EFS. See, I told you that we have vertical scaling as well as horizontal scaling, right? We have vertical scaling as well as horizontal scaling. So first of all, where we can verify our resource utilization to perform that scaling? How we can conclude, okay, this server is running with high CPU, high network. So we need to have a place to conclude that, right? So for that, we have a service called CloudWatch. CloudWatch is a monitoring service. CloudWatch is a monitoring service in AWS. Whenever you create an S3 bucket, you remember we got some metrics. When we create an S3 bucket, we got some metrics per day that graph is updating, how many objects we uploaded, how many objects we uploaded, how many 400 errors came, 500 errors came, the size of that entire bucket. Every day it is updating with that graph, right? Similar way, here for our EC2 instances, we have a monitoring service. Okay, the same service is same. There is no change throughout AWS environment. Monitoring service CloudWatch only. Okay, so monitoring service is CloudWatch only, right? So for EC2 also, whenever we launch an EC2 instance, by defaultly we will get metrics under monitoring tab. Let me quickly launch an EC2 instance. Launch instance. I'm going to call it as a web server 1A. I launched it in episode 1A. There is no meaning. Later I'm going to use it. For now, there is no big reason. I'm going to launch it in episode 1A. I'm going to choose an existing security group, web server SG. And if you want to give some user data, yes, of course, you can give some user data. Okay, let me add some user data. I'll just do copy and paste. All right, launch instance. So now I have launched an EC2 instance. Whenever you launch an EC2 instance, you observe here there is an option called monitoring. Okay, when you go to that monitoring, you see here CPU utilization, status checks, system status check, instance status check, how much traffic coming into the EC2 instance, going out from EC2 instance, what is the disk utilization, what is the CPU utilization. If you observe, one particular metric is missing. What is that? One important metric is missing here. Any guess?
Building.
Memory.
RAM utilization.
Memory, RAM. RAM is like nothing but memory, right? You see CPU, you can see network, you can see disk. Okay. So, but we don't have memory utilization. This is a certification question, guys. We cannot monitor memory utilization with default metrics. If you want to enable memory monitoring, you need to depend on custom metrics. Custom metric will cost us. That we will talk later. I'm not going to skip that. We will discuss later. Why? Because in organization, we monitor that also. Okay. So, but with this CloudWatch, we cannot monitor our EC2 instance memory utilization or RAM utilization with default metrics. And if you observe these graphs, I'm just enlarging that screen and you see here 240, 245, 250. What is the interval between this monitoring? 5 minutes. So EC2 instance utilization or this graph update for every 5 minutes. Can we reduce this? Of course we can. We can reduce it to 1 minute, but for that you need to enable detail monitoring that will cost us. 5 minutes interval is free. It's not going to cost you anything. It won't cost us. Okay. And most of the times we go with the 5 minutes interval only. Right. So you see here, this is what my current CPU utilization. My EC2 instance CPU utilization is 38% now. Again, when it is going to update, after 5 minutes, it is going to update. So it is at 3:30 UTC. Next, at 3:35, this graph is going to update. Okay, either it is up or down. So we are going to get it. So here, you click here, you can select 1 minute. But as we have not enabled detail monitoring, we won't. So how to enable detail monitoring? You see here, manage detail monitoring. Click on that manage detail monitoring. If you select this option and click on confirm. After you enable detail monitoring, Amazon EC2 console displays monitoring graphs with 1 minute period for the instance. Are we going to get any new graphs? No. But just monitoring interval is reducing from 5 minutes to 1 minute. That is the only difference. And as you know, it definitely cost us, so no need to enable it. And while launching instance also, we can enable this option. This is after launching instance. While launching instance, go to this advanced details, scroll down, and here you can find detailed CloudWatch monitoring. Go and enable this automatically. Graphs will update for every 1 minute interval. And you see here. So don't enable, not really required here. But remember, we cannot monitor memory by using default metrics. We need custom metrics to monitor memory. That's an important point. Now, yesterday we create alarm. Okay, for group of EC2 instances. How many instances running in auto scaling group? We have taken all the EC2 instance and we have created an alarm, right? I have only one EC2 instance and I want to create an alarm. And also I want to take an action for that alarm. Yesterday also we have taken an action. When that alarm is triggered, what we did? We changed our desired count. When low usage alarm triggered, I am setting my desired count to 1. When high usage alarm is triggered, I am setting my desired count to 4, right? That is with respect to auto scaling group. But when coming to this EC2 instance, we can reboot the instance, we can stop the instance, we can terminate the instance when that alarm got triggered. Alarm creation process is almost same. There is no difference. Okay. So let me quickly show you that where you can create it. So here you see alarm status. No alarms configured now. These alarms also managed by service called CloudWatch. Click on this plus symbol, create an alarm. I'm going to give, I want to get a notification. Yesterday I forgot to show this actually. Whatever the alarm I created, yesterday I got all alerts. You see here, auto scaling group, alert, auto scaling group, low usage alarm got triggered. I did not log in and I have not shown this yesterday. But you see here, the mails came here. S3 alerts. What is that alert? Under my auto scaling group, some of the EC2 instance is terminated. So it changed the desired capacity from 0 to 2. Okay. So similar way, when this alarm triggered, you want to get any notification, you go and select the notification here. So it is a SNS topic, simple notification service topic. So now, what exactly alarm is? You see here, this is a alarm matrix. Whenever my EC2 instance maximum CPU utilization is greater than or equal to 90% for one consecutive period of 5 minutes. For two consecutive period of 5 minutes means technically 10 minutes. Two continuous 5 minutes. It's like a 10 minutes, right? So two consecutive period of 5 minutes or else 15 minutes, you can give any value. So I'm going to take only one. So fine, when this happened, what exactly action you want to take? Take an alarm action. Enable this and you select, okay, I want to stop this instance or I want to reboot this instance automatically, no manual action. When this alarm triggered, instance reboots automatically. Okay. So I cannot demonstrate this, but I can do one thing. Low usage, I can. I'm going to take minimum CPU utilization is less than or equal to 20% for one consecutive period of 5 minutes. I'm calling it as a low CPU alarm. Then I want to take an action. So I want to stop the instance. Okay. So then this is what the current usage and the metric we configure. This red color one we are configuring. This is what the current instance utilization. Now scroll down, create. Now, if you wait for a couple of minutes, this EC2 instance will stop automatically. Why? Because from last 5 minutes, they are not doing much thing here. So the CPU utilization is less than 20%. So initially it is 38%, but now it is just 1% or below 1% only. So for every 5 minutes, you see here, this is a graph and immediate next graph is 335. Next, when this graph update? After 5 minutes. Okay. So that is a basic monitoring. So any questions on this? You see here, dev EC2 alert, low CPU alarm is already triggered. What happened? This EC2 instance, currently it is in running state. Go back here and give a refresh. It is stopping. Why? That alarm triggered, instance stopped. Alarm triggered, instance stopped automatically. So similar way, for production environment resources, we are going to configure this alarm. Okay. If any instance state change also, we will get an alert. For example, so due to some issues, one of the service is stopped. Oh, okay. So immediately we are going to verify resource status, whether that service delivering servers are up and running or not. So, but before that, we will get an alert. All right. So such type of alerts we can configure by using CloudWatch alarms. You no need to configure the EC2 actions. Whenever you are adding this, it is not mandatory. Taking this action is not mandatory, but notification we can get. Okay. So at the end of this session, I'll show you some sample alerts we receive. Okay. I'll show you. If I forgot, just remember me. I'll show you some sample ones. Okay. So this is a basic thing for CloudWatch. Now, any questions? Yes. See, above 5 minutes, see, graph is updating for every 5 minutes. So, you see here, whenever you are enlarging, you can take last 2 hours metric, last 1 week metrics, and you can take last 15-month metrics. So, that won't cost you anything. Only thing, this graph is updating for every 5 minutes. So, you can reduce it to. You no need to perform anything to set it 5 minutes, it automatically. You don't have any option to set it for 15 minutes refresh, 20 minutes refresh. 5 minutes is the default one. Yeah. You no need to perform any additional things. By defaultly, along with your resource, you will get it.
Avinash, what's the recover option in alarm status?
Recover whenever we are configuring alarm, right? Here we have an option called recover. So basically this recover help us to get our EC2 instance to non-good state when any status check failure happens. For example, system status check failure happen, instance status check failure happen. So the system will recover to last good known configuration.
That's why
recover. Restore, we don't have any option called restore. Technically, it's a restore only. So for our servers, we do restore. Our machines, we call it as a restore. But for servers, we call it as a recover. So status check failure. So it will recover from that failure.
And Avinash, if the load is more than 90%, then we can, like, by stopping or restarting
Reboot.
or reporting.
Yes.
Is there any advantage?
See, whenever we are getting heavy load for our EC2 instances, the mechanism is very simple, guys. Whenever your laptop is not working as expected, as the first thing, what you will do? You will reboot it. So some unnecessary services may run, or the session, session cache may be stored from that server. It is unnecessarily taking a lot of temporary files or different services utilizing the resources. To fix all these issues, restart will work. So whenever CPU utilization is more than 90%, automatically we can configure to reboot it. That will help us to start everything from scratch, all the services. So the temp and cache, everything is going to clear, right? So that definitely helps. Whenever high utilization is there, reboot will help us.
But real time will not.
We really don't reboot.
Yeah.
In real time, we don't reboot. In between and automatically also, we don't enable to reboot in real environments. Even for reboot also, we need to wait for maintenance window. We can get connected, we can try to find the root cause. All right.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Avinash, you told some default we cannot capture something that with in CloudWatch RAM.
Yes. We cannot.
We cannot.
For that, we need to see memory utilization. I told you we cannot capture
memory utilization. Okay.
But is it not possible to capture? We can. That I told you. We'll discuss later. With custom CloudWatch metrics, we can monitor it. We'll discuss that later.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So now we will discuss another topic, that is a EFS, Elastic File System. Okay. EFS, again, we use in real environment. EFS stands for Elastic File System. It works with protocol called NFS. NFS means need for speed.
Network file system.
Network file system, right? So NFS stands for Network File System version 4.1. Okay, so basically this NFS works only with Linux operating systems. You cannot use it with Windows operating system. So that means EFS also supports only Linux EC2 instances. It won't support any Windows instances. It won't. Okay. However, you can install some different third-party tools and do that. But that is with the help of third-party tools, not with any official AWS tools or Windows tools. So NFS don't supported by Windows operating system. For Windows, we have another service called FSX. Amazon FSX. Just like EFS, for Windows, we have FSX. So EFS, we are going to discuss now. Okay. So what is the purpose of this EFS, Elastic File System? So basically, it is a shared storage. It is the shared storage or file, DFS, distributed file system. Or have you ever shared any folder from your laptop to other laptops over the network? Folder sharing. You don't have a pen drive, but you want to copy something from your laptop to another laptop. So you can create a folder. Both laptops should be in same network. Okay, you can create a folder. Go to property. There is an option called share. So then you just to what computer you want to share, or else just take the sharing path with everyone. Give that path to another user. He can access all your files. If you haven't performed this, try it. Okay, so there is a lot of articles. You do this, how to share a folder in network. All right. So file sharing over a network in Windows. So this is the options. You go here in Windows 10 operating system. So go to the folder, give access to specific people or everyone. How to stop? It's a very simple process. Very simple process. You just give a try. Okay. So now when coming to AWS EFS, it is a file share service. Sometimes we call it as a file share also. File share is nothing but EFS only. Okay. The purpose of this is now we have 2 EC2 instances or 3 EC2 instances here. 2 or 3 EC2 instances here. So then I want to share something to these 2 servers. So generally earlier architecture is you take a server, install file services like a DFS, distributed file system and all, or within this server, create a folder, put all the data into the server, then share these files to these servers. It will be available here and you share it here also. It will be available here. All right. So these folders you can access. Actually, data is here in a remote server or a central server. Okay, but you are accessing from here. Those data. So this server always need to up and running. For that server also we need to pay. So we are using a dedicated server to share the files itself. So do we really require a dedicated server to share the files? Not really required. So this part AWS will manage with EFS. We don't require any server, and that server always no need to up and running. AWS have a service called EFS. You create EFS. That EFS, you mount it to the servers. You mount here as well as you mount here. Similarly, how exactly you're accessing as a shared folder, similar way you can access the data here. You can mount this EFS to thousands of the EC2 instances also. Thousands of the EC2 instances also it supports. Okay. So now, if a user connect here to one of the server, if he perform any modification, that modification not actually happen within the server. That modification actually happen in EFS. And as this EFS is mounted to all the servers, those changes will come to these servers automatically. Manually, you don't need to perform anything. You don't need to run any sync command or replication commands. It automatically, the changes will reflect to all other servers automatically. Okay. So this is the concept. Okay. So whatever EBS volume you are creating, that is available only for that server. But I need a storage, that storage or whatever files I have in EFS, I want to make it available for all the servers. Or I want to install something in EFS and I want to do that mapping to all the servers and I want to deliver my application. For such type of scenarios, we go with the EFS, Elastic File System. You got the theoretical concept. It's just like a file sharing, folder sharing only. But instead of maintaining a dedicated server to place the files and share, we are going to use EFS. Okay? Yeah.
So
Any questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
Again uses this S3 to maintain EFS.
Okay. When coming to S3, S3 is basically a static one. So we can store only objects. Can we install anything in S3? Can we modify any file which is storing in S3? No. If you want to modify a file, you first need to download it to your local server. So then you modify it. Correct.
Yeah.
And also, I want to install something. I want to install something, or else I have a web server. All the web server content, I want to put it in EFS. And that web server is not a static web server, it's a dynamic web server. Some users are going to do the modifications also. For that, configuration files or supported files. In that scenario, we cannot use S3. So, whatever, we have a file system here. In S3, we don't have any file system. It's just a object-based storage. So, if you want to modify something, if you want to install something, you can depend on this EFS. However, S3 bucket also you can make it available for servers. But you know the limitations, right? Modification don't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Installations we cannot perform. Those things we can do with this EFS. That's a primary difference. Right? So now what I'm going to do here is, first I'm going to take two servers. One server I'm going to place it in AP South 1A. Another server I'm going to place it in AP South 1B. Okay? So now, then after, I'm going to create a EFS. I'm going to create EFS. This EFS, I'm going to mount it to both of my EC2 instances. Okay. And where you want to mount? So I'm going to make both of these EC2 instances as web servers. There is a path like a var www.html, you remember? I'm going to mount this EFS to var www.html. Then what happened? If I connect to any of the server, if I perform any modification to my web content, all the servers are going to get that changes automatically. In our previous session, what we did, we have taken, okay, this is web server 1A, this is web server 1B. We perform such type of things, right? But now I'm going to mount it to var www.html only. If you don't understand that mechanism, you can simply create a folder, mount it. You can simply create a folder and mount it. Okay. So let's do that now. So why one is in AP South 1A, another one is in AP South 1B? High availability. If 1A goes down also, I should not get affected. Right. For that purpose, one in 1A, another one is in 1B.
Sorry, Avinash, you are saying that we'll update the file in either 1A or 1B, right? Not,
yes.
Not directly on the EFS.
See, directly we cannot connect to EFS. If you want to, first you need to mount it.
Correct. Yes.
You first need to mount it to one of the server. Then you need to do the modification. Where exactly you have mounted, right? You need to go to that path and whatever modification you perform, that actually happens in EFS. If you mount it to 100 servers, 100 servers will get that changes.
Okay. But we will not be having access to EFS, right?
Yes, we don't have any direct access to EFS.
Okay.
I terminated the server, right? Okay. Right. So 1A web server. I'm taking Amazon Linux, T2 Micro, my Linux KP. I'm going to choose this server to run in AP South 1A. I'm going to select a security group, web server SG, and launch instance. I'm going to launch another one, 1B web server. I'm taking Amazon Linux 2, T2 Micro, my Linux KP. I'm taking 1B now. And I'm going to choose same security group. So basically this EFS works with NFS protocol, right? NFS have a dedicated port number. The port number is 2049. NFS port number is 2049. So whenever you are creating EFS, it will ask us in what VPC you want to create. Okay. So what security group you want to associate? Whatever security group you associated to EFS, that must open with 2049. Okay. So for both of my EC2 instances, I have used web server SG. All right. Before creating EFS, go and create a security group for EFS. Go to EC2 dashboard, security groups, create security group. I'm calling it as a EFS SG. EFS security group. Okay, in what VPC you want to create? What port number? As I told you, NFS is a protocol and it works with 2049 port number. Now, if you want to implement pipeline mechanism, what we need to give here? Everywhere. All right, very good answer, but wrong answer. Right? So everywhere you are making it open for everyone.
Only on the security group of web servers.
Yes. Give security group of web servers. Give security group of web servers. So that is a pipeline mechanism we discussed. So I told you that for both the web servers, I maintain same security group. Okay. So I can simply give SG, whatever security group I have given for my web servers, I can give that here. If I give my IP, what happens, you know? Why only local laptop, this laptop, only this laptop can mount it to EFS. But my requirement, I want to mount it to my EC2 instances. So this is one option. If you don't understand this pipeline mechanism, you go with this NFS and here give your EC2 instance IP address. Give your EC2 instance private IP address. Why? Because both are in AWS only, private IP address works for us. Another option is you gave your entire VPC IP address here. But among or fourth option is you open it for everyone, but not recommended. Okay. So we have four options. You can use pipeline. Okay. Or you can give instance from private IP addresses. You can give your entire VPC IP address. Okay. Last option is you can make it open for everyone. Among all these four, the first one is a very standard one. Okay. So if you don't understand this, open it for everyone and continue with your lab. Don't stuck here itself. All right. I'm opening 2049 for this. Okay. So opening NFS for web server SG is a description I'm giving. Then scroll down, create security group. Now security group also ready. Both instances are ready. Now let's go to EFS. Search for EFS. Managed file storage for EC2. All right. I'm navigating to EFS. I don't have any file systems now. Let's create one. Click on create file system. Give a name. Click on create. It automatically create with all the default options. No customization, nothing. It creates with all the default options. That is not really recommended. Click on customize. Now, what is the name you want to give? So my project 1 data. Okay, for all project 1 servers, I'm going to mount it. Okay, so then standard and in one zone. You know the mechanism, right? One zone means data stores in only in one availability zone in backend. But standard, yeah, data replicate across multiple availability zones. So go with the standard, that is more standard option. And you want to enable automated backup, you can enable. Later, we will discuss about this. We have a service called AWS Backup. We'll come to that later. So then lifecycle management. You know the mechanism. Whatever data you're accessing on daily basis, you can put it in standard. If you're not accessing really, you can move it to infrequently access. So advantage with infrequently access is less cost. Okay, so it will see when we are going to move an object from standard to infrequently access, we will verify when that object is last time opened, when that object last time accessed. Okay, so if you access that, like, you have some data, you have not accessed the data from last 30 days, automatically I want to move it to infrequently access. If I haven't accessed or opened that file from last 7 days, I want to move it. Okay, if you set it to none, it will always with standard only, EFS standard. Okay, but if you observe this, when you want to get out from infrequently access to standard, whenever you open for the first time, right, automatically it will come to infrequently access to standard. And if you don't open it for coming 30 days again, it will go to infrequently access again. System will remember when that file last accessed. If the file is not opened in last 30 days, it moved to infrequently access. Okay, just simply set it to none here. No need to worry. Encryption, if you want to enable, you can enable it as that is a default encryption, or uncheck it. Now, throughput mode, you go with the bursting. So throughput means message successful deliver mechanism. So now there is a communication happening between my EFS and EC2 instances, right? Do you want to maintain any specific bandwidth for that? Like a 2 Mbps or 4 Mbps or 10 Mbps bandwidth? So then go to provision and you gave it 10 Mbps. You see this? It will cost us, go with the bursting option. And even in real environment also we go with the bursting, okay? 90% of the times we go with the bursting. Expand additional settings. Now, general purpose and max IO. So general purpose is recommended if you are going to mount it to 50 EC2 instances. If you want to mount it to more than 50 EC2 instances, you go with the max IO option. You go with the max IO option. Whenever you select max IO, right, it supports 1000 of EC2 instance also. One file system, you can mount it to 1000 servers. 1000 servers can read data from EFS, can write data to EFS. Okay. So go with the general purpose, that is recommended, or don't touch that additional setting. Go with the bursting here. If you want to add any tags, you go and add the tags, then click on next. Now, in what VPC you want to run? We have only one VPC, I'm selecting it. Right. So now, what is the security group you want to associate? You see here, it is created with default security group. Default security group is like a loop back security group. It opens all the traffic, but to itself. Don't use it. Okay. We already created one and we kept ready, right? Just remove these existing ones and whatever the EFS security group we created, select that here. EFS SG. Go here, select EFS SG. Now, I'm going to mount this EFS to all the 3 availability zones. For example, I have removed this AP South 1B. I have removed this 1B and 1C. Now, what happens, this file system will be available to only AP South 1A. So you can mount it to only AP South 1A EC2 instances. You cannot mount it to 1B or 1C EC2 instances. If you are not able to mount, if you are getting timeout error while mounting this EFS to your EC2 instance, first verify security group of your EFS. Okay. So the second thing, you verify whether you copied properly or not. So make sure this opened with your appropriate port numbers. And second thing, you verify this whether you forgot to add that. I'm selecting 1B and I'm selecting EFS SG. Okay, 1C, I don't have any instances. If I want, I can have it. Otherwise, I can leave it.
But Avinash,
Then click. Yes, please.
Initially, why did this 1C option came?
We have all three. Now also I can add all three. Why? Because in Mumbai, we have 3 availability zones. By default, it will pick all the 3. If you don't want, you can explicitly remove it.
Oh,
Then click on next. So this is optional one. You can control these permissions at the OS level. For example, if you select this, prevent root access by default. Root user cannot access this file system. Enforce read-only access by default. Okay. First you have written, then after you can enforce everyone to only perform read operation. No one can write. So prevent anonymous access, enforce encryption for all clients. So those we can enable. Just go with the default. Then click on next. This is a review screen. Then click on create. Now a file system is creating. Important point is security group and mount points, whether you enable it for AP South 1A, 1B, 1C or not, and what security group you are giving, whether that security group is open with 2049 port number or not. That is important. All right, file system is already created. It's ready. Now, here in top right corner, we have an option called attach. Okay, click on attach. So this is the mount command. With this mount command, we can mount it. First of all, till here, this is a EFS command. Space, this is a folder name where you want to mount it. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me quickly get connected to my EC2 instances. Okay, so then I will make it as a web server, or else I'll connect to, and even without making it as a web server also, we can mount it. So let me quickly connect to 1A. I'm taking a terminal. Come on. Cut. Type yes, and we got connected to this instance. All right, I'm going to switch to root user, sudo space su, clear the screen. So this is one of my EC2 instance. Now what I want to do is, I want to mount my EFS here. First of all, in Linux operating system, if you want to mount something, you need to create a directory first. So then only you can mount it, right? So you first need to create a directory. What is the command? mkdir. What name you want me to give? EFS. Okay. You can give EFS or you can give any name. For example, I'm calling it as Avinash. All right. Then click on enter. Now verify that by giving ls. Now go back to your EC2 EFS console. Copy this command. Here is the copy option. Copy this. Okay. So this is the command, guys. This is the command. Now the important thing is this EFS need to replace with the folder name. I created a folder called Avinash. So in place of that highlighted EFS, I need to give Avinash folder. Okay. So now what happened? That EFS will mount to Avinash. If I go inside Avinash folder, whatever files I created, whatever data I paste there, I copy there, that data actually stores in EFS, not on the server. Okay. So I'm removing this. I'm taking this entire command and I'm pasting that here. Then space, I'm giving Avinash. There is a space after the slash. Then click on enter. If communication is there, mount will happen. How we can verify that mount operation? df, click on enter, you see this EFS, or else you can simply give df space hyphen capital TH. You see here, this is a file system type is NFS, it is mounted to this particular path. However, if you want to make it permanent mount, go to fstab file, write an entry, get the entry information from mtab file. Okay, so now let's go inside this Avinash folder, create some files. I'm creating index.html. Press I, giving a header. This is an EFS web page. All right. So the file is now created here, but it's actually created in EFS. Looking like a local file, but it actually created in EFS. How we can confirm? Okay, I'll do one thing. Now I'll connect to my web server 2. I'll connect to web server 2 and I'm going to mount EFS. Then we'll verify. So for that, I'm going to take new tab here. This is an existing one. This is a new one. All right. So, okay, I'm under key pairs only. So let me grab that another EC2 instance public IP address. SSH-I my Linux KP EC2 user @ given the public IP address. Type yes, sudo space su, clearing the screen. So now if I gave ls, I don't have any. So first what we need to do, we need to create a folder. So I'm going to call this as mkdir. You can call it as any name. For example, I'm calling it as a server 2. For that another server, I called it as Avinash, and now I'm calling it as a server 2. It's created successfully. Then what we need to do? We need to mount it, right? So let's take that notepad. This is a command. Grab that command. Enter that here. Give space. Server 2. Use tab, don't type. Okay, then click on enter. Now you see mount happened successfully. Let's go inside that server 2 folder. If I gave ls, you see index.html came automatically. Did I create it within the server? Now, let me create a file here. I'm creating touch server2.txt. If I gave ls, I can see that file here. If I go to my server 1, earlier if I gave ls only index.html, but now if I gave ls, you see both the files available. I'm creating one more file here, touch server1.txt. If I gave ls, I can see it here, and if I gave ls, I can even see it here also. So within those mounted paths, whatever data we are creating, whatever data we are modifying, it's actually storing in EFS, not on the individual servers. Okay. So this is a mechanism. Now, instead of mounting it to the server 1 or this Avinash folder or server 2 folder, I have a central web content. I want to deliver my website with 2 servers help. 2 servers. But again, are you going to put your data in server 1 as well as server 2? If some modification happen, only server 1 will get the changes, right? Okay. My web content, I want to maintain centrally. If any modification happen on server 1 or server 2, that need to reflect in other servers automatically. So for that, what I'm going to do here is giving var www.html. If I gave this in both the web servers, now what happened? EFS mounted to that var www.html for both the web servers. and we are maintaining central content. So, but before that, we need to make both web servers. For that, install stdpd. Service stdpd start. Chk config stdpd on. All right. So now do the same thing in another server also. Install stdpd. Service stdpd start. All right. So both are web servers now. And both servers, what exactly it is delivering? A test page it will deliver now. It is delivering a test page, and that web server 1A also delivering a test page. All right. So now let's go and run this command. This command. Executed. Executed. Okay, now go here, give a refresh. You see here, I'm getting an EFS web page automatically. Okay, so now if I connect to one of the web server, if I perform any modification in one of the server, that changes will reflect to another servers automatically. So for that, let's do this. I'm navigating to cd var www.html. I'm opening that index.html. I'm modifying this. This is an updated EFS web page. Okay, I did this from one of the server, but you go here, server 1 is updated, server 2 also updated. Why? Because we are delivering this content from EFS. So this is a mechanism. Okay, so any questions on this EFS? Yes, please.
How did we
One second.
got this command?
I got a question. I got a question from classroom. Let's take that first. Yes. Yes. So if you mount it to both servers, it displays in both servers. No, see, configuration part you need to take care individual instances, but content-wise you are delivering from central location. Configuration you need to install service in both the servers. If you don't want to install in multiple servers, you remember Golden AMI? Take one server, okay, install everything, mount this EFS. From that Golden AMI, you launch 4 or 5 instances. Okay, all 5 instances will come with web server. So then it will mount it to EFS automatically. So that is a bit lengthy process. That's the reason I manually install now. But standard way is take one server, perform the installation, perform the mount, make it permanent mount, then create an AMI. From that AMI, you launch n number of the instances. So how many instances you launch, all will maintain central content. Yeah. Someone asking something like how we got this command, right? So go to this EFS, top right corner, we have an option called attach. Click on this attach. It will show you this using NFS client option. Okay. So with the help of this, you simply copy this and replace this with the directory you created in your server. Yeah. In Putty, how to take new tab to connect other instance. So Putty, we don't have an option. In Putty, we don't have. You just need to keep session active. Go and double click Putty again. You will get a new session. Okay. Otherwise, use Mobile Extern. That have an option. We can take session similar way. Yeah. Any other questions on this EFS, guys?
Is there any limit on the storage, Avinash, for this EFS?
Okay, so basically this EFS is like, you observe whenever we are creating this EFS, is it asking us to choose like you need 30 GB or 40 GB, something like that? No. EFS is for EFS, no pre-provisioning required. You can store unlimited data here. Based on how much data you're actually storing, you will get charged. 5 GB comes under free tier eligibility. So just practice with very basic files. So once you're done, just delete it. Yeah.
The file permissions also will be replicated among all servers, Avinash.
Yes. So in a specific server, if you want to maintain any folder permissions and all, within that server, you can run chmod and you can modify the permissions.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? If you mount command, just for mount command, for unmount mount command. I have tried to access second instance in Git, but I'm not able to access it. Okay, try to access second instance also with same application you're using. Open another Putty terminal and try to access it. Or else you can do one more thing. One session you can take via Putty, second session you can take via browser. One session you take via Putty, second session you take via mobile external. Okay. Any questions?
Can't we take two at two with one platform?
We can. See, that's what I did, right? So you open Putty again and you can take it. So you keep one session open, go to where exactly you have putty.exe, give a double click, it will ask you to enter IP address and all. You just give that information and side by side you can take two Putty sessions. I don't have Putty2 here to show that.
Actually, I tried in that way, but I'm unable to do that. I will share that screenshot in our Slack once.
Yes, please. Definitely. Please share that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We can, and you can take new tab or open it again and you connect to another one, open it again and you connect to another one. You can take multiple.
Just to add, Avinash, so on the Putty session, on the existing Putty session, on the top, if you right click here, there will be multiple options and then you can click on new session.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So
yes, we can.
Just once Putty session open, right?
Yeah.
So he's saying just open, give a right click on top and there is an option called new session. So you can take a new session. I have not tried that actually.
So
I generally use command prompt option most of the times. And here I'm using terminal.
Yeah.
So that's the reason, I'm not so much familiar with that application.
Yeah, we use it daily. So yeah, you can open a number of sessions with the same.
Yes. Yes. Right. Windows in command prompt, you can do that. But before that, you need to enable one service called OpenSSH. Just how exactly I'm using terminal here. So your question is, you want to use Windows default command prompt. So for that, do this. Enable OpenSSH. You're using Windows 10 or 11? Windows 11. Okay. Enable OpenSSH in Windows 11. So go to this Microsoft official site. Go to settings. There is an option called apps. Then optional features. There is a feature called OpenSSH client. Then install. Once you install this, so then your command prompt, default command prompt will start detecting SSH as a command. So then you can use just like my terminal. Yeah. All right. So yeah, when coming to document, this is a EFS. These are the commands. I got it for me. So you just replace it with yours. Add entry in etc FS tab. If you want to make that available after reboot also. Okay. So the task is create EFS, mount it to multiple EC2 instances. Whatever the web content you have, put that web content in EFS and deliver it via both the EC2 instances. Okay. So yeah, one small topic before closing today's session. Not so technical one. Okay, don't worry. Not so technical one. General one only. All right. So basically, in our organization, we gave here. I'm giving okay, one A web server, one B web server, my test server, okay, my Java server. I'm giving all these names, right? Even in organization, are we going to follow same? No. So every organization have their own naming standard. I'll tell you one common naming standard here. So if you got any question, mainly whoever had experience, if you got any experience, you convey same thing. All right. So the first thing is, so first for every instance we launch, right, we will add some tags. So after 2 sessions later, you will come to know importance of that. Okay. So generally for every instance we launch, right, we will add some tags. So this is one A web server. I can go to tag and I can manage tag. For example, for what project I'm using this? For example, I'm using this for project X. Okay. For what client? For example, it is for client 1. So then what platform? It is a Linux platform. So such type of some standard tags we add. Why? Because so whenever you got any doubt, okay, why we created this server, what is the purpose of this server and all, you can simply go to the tags and you can see, okay, this is created for this particular purpose and all. All right. So that is one important thing. Now, second important thing is whenever we are giving this server names, we follow a standard. First thing, whether it is a Windows instance or Linux instance, you're going to have a number of the servers, but you should know by looking at the server name itself. Okay, for example, if it is WI, client 1, okay, product 1, and it is a PRD environment. By looking at that name, I can tell you, I know the standard, okay, it's a Windows instance for client 1, for project 1 we are using, it is a prod server. All right. If it is a dev server in place of PRD, we can give DEV. If it is a UAT server, we can give UAT. If it is a testing server or quality assurance server, we can give SQA. Okay. If it is just for training purpose or testing purpose you are creating, you can give sandbox. Okay. By looking at this name itself, we can get the information. Okay. Then you can take an action on that. All right. So for that, the first one, DebLi stands for Windows, LI stands for Linux. And here, the application code. Here, then the application code, the standard way we are using. So DebLT, it's like a wealth trade. That means just one application name, assume it as an application name. Okay. Okay. So that is a one app code. So then for client 1 or client 2, we are going to have different clients. Okay, every client have 3-digit code or 2-digit code. We are going to give that code here. So then after, for staging environment, we are going to give S. For UAT, we are going to give UAT. For production, we are going to give prod. So by looking at name, we can tell, okay, whether it is a dev server or production server, whether it is running with Windows operating system or Linux operating system, or what client we are using it. Those all things we can get by looking at that name itself, server name itself. So we always follow such type of standards in real environment. Simply giving web server 1, web server 2, we don't do that. Here, just for our easy understandment purpose, I'm giving it. That is the first thing. Second thing is, whatever the tags we are giving, right? The tags are more useful whenever I want to do pricing analysis. For example, for one of the client, let's assume this client 1, I want to do how much amount we are spending for this client 1 on AWS resources. We have 2 servers, 2 S3 buckets, 2 load balancers, 2 databases. How we can analyze the pricing? Going and calculating manually is not an option. So we have an option called Cost Explorer. We can go to Cost Explorer. Okay, so here we can give, okay, just go to Cost Explorer here. And we can define, see here, I want to filter resources by using tags. I can go here. It's just created some time back only, right? So I can go here. I can select, okay, what are the resources? Have client is equal to client 1 or project is equal to project X. Then I can apply filter. Then it will show for that client how much, like, cost we are spending. What are the services we are using? We can find that here. Got it? So that is a mechanism. So tags, not at all mandatory, but for proper organization, proper maintaining it in proper way in organization, we use it. Okay. Yeah. Even this you can expect in your interview. You want to do cost analysis. So how or what are the common tags? So if you're running multiple client and multiple clients from one AWS account, so how you are going to segregate the pricing and all? So with the help of Cost Explorer, by using tags, we can segregate. With the help of Cost Explorer, we can do the analysis. Okay. So that is and some organizations, right? They will use another tag called Cost Explorer. Cost Center. Cost Center is going to be the tag and a 5-digit code we are going to use. That is going to be unique. For that client, whatever the resource we create, we mandatorily add that cost center. So then it will show all the resources. Okay. So that is an important thing. So any questions on this?
Just to add, like in some of the environments, the name it will have a 3-digit for a data center also for the on-premises environment.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
specify
So-
the data center name also.
Exactly. That's true. So basically, this is just a commonly used one, but it varies from organization to organization.
Yes.
For example, like, just Veera, right? So as he mentioned, we are going to add data center ID, or else if it is a cloud, like, CL, if it is a AWS, for example, there, if the client is, if the organization is using multi-cloud, we really don't want to get connected to verify the server. If it is a AWS, you simply give AWS hyphen. If it is a Azure, you just give AZ hyphen. So we can customize it. I'm just mentioning a standard one here.
Yeah. So just for everyone's information, so this is to make our life easy. So this is a naming standard
Yes.
we follow. So because like we'll be working on thousands of servers in our day-to-day activities. If someone says an issue with the so-and-so server, we cannot go to our CMDB and check what is the server, or we cannot log into server and see what it is used for. So by looking at the name, so we should be able to identify, yeah, oh, this is a Windows or this is Linux, this is used for so-and-so application, and this is so-and-so environment.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
makes our
Thanks for
life
that
easy.
information.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Please, can I get resume and interview questions? Sure, definitely I'll share, but not now. We have a lot of time to share that. So definitely I'll share that. I have a lot of templates and resumes. I'll definitely share in our coming sessions. The problem is earlier we used to share once we complete 60% of the course. But the problem is the guys come up with a lot of questions in between. So that's the reason we streamlined it. Later we'll share it. All right. Yeah. Any questions before closing the session?
So here, while terminating Avinash, so you are
Yeah.
unmounting or you are simply deleting EFS?
It's not so critical data, right? So I'm simply deleting this EFS.
Okay. So normally, what is the standard procedure?
You
So-
can run unmount, then you can delete it.
Oh,
Once you delete the file system, it will delete permanently. It's a irreversible action. So once you delete it, there is no option to get it back. However,
Correct.
if you
Correct.
have taken a storage backup, if you have taken EFS backup, we can perform restoration and we can get it. So, but generally, it's a irreversible action.
Okay. Unmount and then delete the EFS.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let me upload that to our GitHub. Okay. We have CLI and role session tomorrow, then systems manager session. Okay. So probably with 2.5 more sessions, we are going to done with EC2 module.
Okay.
All right. So yeah. Don't know about protocol. Can you please share some link or video about protocol? Protocol is like, the simple thing. What is protocol or what is the port number? See, we have multiple languages, right? If I talk in Telugu, only some guys can understand. Who knows the Telugu, only they can understand. If I talk in English, only some guys know English, only they can understand. Okay. So, but if I want to, for example, if I have two mouths, okay, if I have two mouths, one mouth is for English, one mouth is for Telugu. So, if I want to talk in Telugu, I need to use that specific one only. And who have, who are listening on a specific code only, they can understand. So, similar way, this server will have 65,535 entry and exit points. Okay, if any traffic is coming port number 80, a browser only can understand. Why? Because whatever website we are accessing, right? So the browser supports only that protocol. If you try to take SSH, it won't work. Okay, for SSH, there is a different tool called PuTTY. Okay, the terminal and all. So, if you're trying to take SSH with port number 80, it won't work. Basically, protocol or port is mapped to a specific operation. It mapped to a specific operation. Just like I told you, two mouths. One mouth is for English, one mouth is for Telugu, right? So, similar way, server will have port number 80, that is the entry and exit point for web servers. Port number 22, that is a connectivity purpose only for Linux. 3389, that is connectivity purpose for Windows. Okay, so it must have supported once. So the protocol or port is entry and exit, and it is a primary component for communication purpose. Okay, so I hope that gave some basic knowledge about protocols. All right. So that's it for today's session. See you again.